I was testing my ColourJot template today, this is the oval template, to see if this little 8 colors student quality watercolor set would also live up to the claim that 3 primes make 99 colors. Wow, it certainly did. One box, one stencil, that's 153 colors so far. Just how many colors can you make from a Prang watercolor set of 8 colors? Let's run it through the ColourJot template system and see how many colors we find. To make a good color wheel, you usually rely on photocopies or graphite transfer or a lot of protractors and compass and rulers, and sometimes it takes so long just to make the template. Now it's easy. Trace one side, put a pin or a tip of a pencil in the pivot point, give the template a spin, line it up with your page again, and trace the other side. So it is a 2-in-1 stencil. One half the stencil will make a color wheel really quickly. Most templates like this you draw direct with a marker, so there's no need to trace first with a pencil. Choose a permanent marker that's not going to smear or bleed once water is painted on the surface. There are many designs of ColourJot to choose from. This one I chose is ovals. With the same marker, I number the circle 1 to 18 clockwise. It's important as you're teaching students where to place their colors. Then we circle the number 1, 7, and 13. Those are our prime spots. And I mark a little dot on 4, 10, and 16. Those are the halfway points. A good reference. I admit I'm a bit of an art material snob. I have been using only artist quality materials for so long. I was skeptical if this little Prang school set of watercolors would be able to make as many colors. So let's run them through the ColourJot system and find out. So the number 1 spot is yellow. The number 7 spot is red, pure color. Just add a little bit more water and dab the color off on our paper towel. And we create 2 lighter shades of the color, working towards the center of the color wheel. You'll notice I am pulling yellow and making a puddle, and I'm pulling red over onto the palette to make another puddle. And now I'm using just incremental mixing, a teeny tiny bit of red mixed into the yellow, just until I see another color. So as soon as I see that yellow-orange on the palette, I carry it over to the color circle. As soon as I see a little redder orange, I carry it over to the color wheel. And now the number 4 spot should be the halfway. It's the brightest orange I can make from those 2 colors. The main ingredient to watercolors is, of course, water, and controlling it can seem overwhelming. Here we're just using wet paint on dry, so wherever we place the color, that's where it's going to stay. Painting within the shapes of a ColourJot stencil or template will help you with water control and brush control, and you're gaining a lot of skills just by doing the color wheel. So have your students enjoy the process. Once I'm past the halfway point, I know my orange needs to be redder. So I'm adding a lot more red to get the red orange. The primary red in the Prang set is very cool. It's very crimson-y. So we are going to, in the number 6 spot, mix the brightest fire engine red we can. So here's your first aha moment in color theory. Is red is a primary, but you can mix a red. If you've got a crimson red, adding a bit of yellow will pull it into the orangier fire engine red we used to think was the primary red. Turns out it's the magenta and the crimson that is the more pure primary, and you're not able to mix so easily. Now we're going to add blue to the mix and jump right over to the spot 13 and paint the blue in. The blue in this set, I would call this a phthalo blue or a cyan blue. It's very primary. And now we lighten it with water. 3 tips to keeping your colors clean is 1, wipe your palette down frequently. I know it looks like a waste of paint. It's not a waste of paint. You do need to keep your colors clean. So putting water, wiping it away. You'll also notice I have the ice cube tray. That's 12 chances for clean water. And the third is I sometimes have 2 or 3 brushes on the go, so I'm not wasting all the paint in my brush, and I can switch back and forth depending on what color I want to dominate my mixing. So you'll see me switch between a couple different types of brushes often. Now we'll start filling in the 5 spaces between the crimson and the blue. So the first one, we're barely going to pull off crimson, and we're going to pull it into the burgundy color. We don't really want to see too purpley yet, although purple is so easy to make with these 2 colors. So I'm going to start with a burgundy, then move into a red purple. We are at the halfway point. So number 9 is always going to be a redder version than 10. 10 we're moving into maybe the dioxazine or quinacridone. I think it's a dioxazine color here. It's quite rich. And then as we move over, we're going to get bluer and bluer. Spot 11, we're going to make indigo or maybe Prussian, depending on how you mix it. And spot 12, we'll find ultramarine. So by taking phthalo, adding crimson to it, we're going to pull it into that pretty ultramarine color. Look at the power of mixing. Now that we're done the purple section, we're going to flip over our paper towel, clean off our palette, clean our brushes, and get ready to mix blue and yellow. So again, a puddle of yellow, a nice puddle of blue. I kept them far apart just because blue is so bossy and yellow doesn't have much tinting strength. So I want to be very incremental. I want to find that chartreusey yellow. Encourage students to take the lighter color gradually into the darker color. That way you're not contaminating the whole thing quickly. You see, I still have 3 distinct puddles: blue, the green I mixed, and the yellow. Okay, now I'm going to add 17, which is kind of a bright green, like a shamrock or a Granny Smith apple green, lightening it with water. It's nice to be able to talk about your target color that you're trying to reach. At 16, what's the brightest green you can mix? And then you want to evaluate the space between 16 and 13. You have to fit 2 more blue greens in there. So when you see them on your palette, place them where they go. So I'm going to add quite a bit more blue because I end up 15 being nice blue-green, and 14 is where you find phthalo turquoise. So that really lovely deep, deep blue-green. You can see it on your palette. As soon as you see it turn from green into a blue-green, grab it and put it on your, yeah, there it is. And there you go. 3 colors just made 54 colors. In ColourJot, prime does not always mean primary. It just means the prime color we're starting with. So let's take 3 more colors from this 8 set. But this time we're going to start with orange, green, and purple. Orange is in the number 1 spot. The green will go into number 13, and the purple will be in number 7. The purple in this set is very intense. And if you make it too dark, you can always take a wet but dry, clean brush and lift off color to lighten it and make it less intense. Okay, and now a big puddle of orange, and you can see I'm switching brushes to go grab that bossy purple and gradually add orange to the purple just until you mix a new color. Purple and orange should make a nice range of really golden browns, a lot prettier than just burnt sienna. I think they glow from within, and they glow interestingly because our eye still knows it was made using orange and purple. It's not just a brown earth pigment. So mixing your colors always is a little bit more dynamic. Also, if you're working on cold press paper, these colors sometimes separate into their original colors. So while you're looking at brown, when you get close up, it looks purple and orange. And it's one of the ways we create more complex and interesting paintings. So this time I saw that perfect dark grayed violet on my palette. So I placed it, I jumped ahead and put it in the 6th spot because I can always go back and mix that color in between. So once I've got 6, I can find 5 really easy. You'll notice when you're mixing colors, they always are a little bit duller. So if you want a dark and orange, go ahead and add a bit of purple. And if you want to darken purple, go ahead, add a bit of orange. Now comes green and purple. This is so interesting. We should make really nice grays in this range. And sometimes, if you're lucky, between a green and a purple, you can make a blue. I promise. Let's see. When you mix two secondary colors together, you are mixing tertiary colors. They're kind of similar to analogous in that they are made up of two colors. So primaries make secondaries and secondaries make tertiaries. And look how we're dulling down that green. We're taking it from a bright green into the olives and the sages and the earth tones, graying that green down. Very useful for shadow effects or effects in the distance or effects in a duller time of day. We want to be able to push those greens just a little grayer. As I'm mixing purple and green on the palette, you will see blue appear. How do we get blue from purple and green? Well, if you remember how they are placed on the color wheel, blue is in between purple and green. And while we won't be able to mix a bright blue, we will cross over the blue spectrum into the duller, deeper blues. So we will make like the anthraquin blue or the Prussian blue here with our purple and green. And as we add more purple, we will get another shade of purple. This color wheel is duller and more subtle than the previous one, but it does transition beautifully from green all the way through purple to orange. So your students might be questioning, but in color theory, you can't mix primaries. The color wheel, we can take blue and red, and in between is purple. We can mix those. Well, why can't we mix what's between green and purple as blue? It'll be duller blue, not a bright blue. Just like in the previous one, we learned that yellow and crimson made bright red. Okay, let's clean off our palette and get ready to mix green and orange. Super quick. So our bright primary green, we're going to lighten 2 shades lighter by adding water, and then gradually add orange to the green. So on our palette, we'll mix a nice puddle of green and a nice puddle of orange. Do you notice that carrying color over using a clean brush and moving it over to the palette means we never contaminate our colors? They always stay bright and clean. So here's our little bit darker orange and 2 shades lighter. A little bit more green, it's turning quite browny. Still feels like an orangey brown. And then 16 should be that 50-50 spot where you can't really tell if it's an orangey brown or a greeny brown. But it is greener than the one before it. So it should transition nice through all these mossy, earthy olive greens. Very different than the primary greens we mixed the first time. So there is value in learning how to control your secondaries as well as your primaries. A totally different color palette. Let's compare the two side by side. Well, primaries make secondaries, secondaries make tertiaries. And so many greens, so many oranges, and so many purples to choose from. But wait, what about the complementary colors? What about mixing with black? Okay. The ColourJot template, side 2, has just a nice grid. I usually like to do 7 high by 9 wide. 7 spaces means I have a color on the top, a color on the bottom, and 5 mixing spaces between. To make a row, just move your stencil along, line it up with what you've previously drawn, and trace it again. And you can make as many or as few as you like. It's impossible to teach everything in one short video, so do subscribe as I try different colors and different paints. I did the CMYK using Holbein gouache, and we did 99 colors just using 3 colors, but then we also ran the black through all of the colors that we had made, and made almost 200 colors. With this little Prang set, let's keep going. I call this color dating. I'm just going to pick 2 colors and see how they get along. Some cases we'll be adding black to the color. That is called a shade. So our first one, we're going to mix red and black to get a darker red and work our way kind of just making it up as I go along, looking for colors I haven't mixed together previously. Sometimes they're analogous. Going from blue to green is analogous. Sometimes they're complementary. We're going to mix yellow and purple. Those are complementary. So let's see how it goes. This video has been sped up. I don't mix this fast, so it is already sped up twice. And I'm just going to let you enjoy watching the colors blend and mix. Again, you can see them on the palette. As soon as you see them on the palette, carry them over to the paper, letting the white of the palette do the work, letting the undertone of the paint glow through. When the color's in its mass tone, in the pan beside, it's hard to see its color. It's not till you dilute it with water and kind of spread it out on the palette that you can see the white glow through and you can tell the color you're actually mixing. That's why I smear it out on the palette like that. And here we've seen red transition right to black. The black is quite blue, so our red kind of did pass through purple a little bit. If our black was on the brownie side, we would have got brick colors. But here we found some nice plummy crimsons and plummy purples because of the blue-black. Orange and brown are very similar. In fact, you could call them analogous. So all I'm really going to be able to do is darken the orange and pull it towards the brown. And in this case, mixing orange and brown, I'm not going to get a darker brown. So it's just a very subtle transition. But it's nice to know that color scheme when you're painting fall. So we cleaned our palette again because we're doing purple and yellow. One of my favorite complementary color combinations, which I think is underutilized. But here is where we're going to find yellow ochre and the goldy browns. I mean, if I was to paint a golden lab, purple and gold would be the two colors I would choose. Because complementary colors are directly across from each other on the color wheel, they neutralize each other. They will dull each other down, and you will see a lovely transition from yellow to something dull and neutral, and then off into the purple again. Very nice. And then an interesting thing about complements is they also darken each other. So if you want to darken purple while you're changing it from being so intense, yellow will give you a darker color. So mixing a little bit of that bright, intense color into the purple actually darkens and dulls it. Isn't that powerful? Blue and green are right beside each other on the color wheel. Therefore, they are analogous. And we're just going to get a gradual transition from blue to green. And as soon as you see it on the palette, put it on the paper. Through the magic of editing, it looks like it painted itself. Let's try another complementary mixing, this time red and green. Often you think about Christmas, but red and green is a very nice color mixing for portrait tones. So learning to control it. I also tell people that if you use red and green together when you're painting a plant, the flowers can be in the red range and the stem of the plant can be in the green range. But if you make it with the same two colors, it's going to feel like it's the same plant. So giving you a lot more harmony in your color mixing. Orange and blue is also a complementary mixing. And here's where you're going to be able to mix beautiful browns like burnt sienna and burnt umber. And your black can come from purple and orange as well. So let's see how these mix together. So let's quickly count up how many colors we made. On the color grid, it was 45 new colors and 2 color wheels of 54 each. Wow, that's 153 colors from just an 8-color Prang set. You know how to make 198? You could teach your students careful color lifting. So a wet brush, just a little bit of a wash, you can lighten your color and lift it to reveal the undertone for each color. So that's how you very quickly help students learn to lighten and lift color and make a different tint of that color. There we go. So yeah, busted. Well, 3 primes will make 99, but 8 colors in a Prang watercolor set will make like 198 colors. Yeah, happy color mixing, and use the materials that you have, use the materials that you can Want to know more? Visit ColourJot.ca for tools, templates, color, and tutorials.